Making the case. Let's see what happens. Okay. God be God, and then we're going to be winning. For sure. All right, what's going on, you guys? I'm back in full effect. Again, welcome you guys to Making the Case for Your Lawyer Dreams. My name is Anthony. I'm the founder of BecomingJD, where our goal, of course, is to be able to help, inspire, encourage, and also give you guys the blueprint to success to be able to successfully navigate your lawyer journey. Oftentimes, this journey is ripe with challenges from left to right. And amongst those, oftentimes we find ourselves being deterred or discouraged, thinking that maybe this isn't a dream for me. And the truth of the matter, it is definitely the dream for you. You had this dream for a reason. And each week we've been blessed to be able to have a number of amazing guests to come on to share their amazing stories of how they overcame challenges and manifested their lawyer dreams. One of the things that we try to do with Making the Case is make sure that we find success stories of people who look like you, who've gone through some of the challenges that you're currently going through, so that way you're able to see it's possible. You hear me? It's possible. And so for some reason, our IG Live was messing up before, but we're back here in full effect. And so I want to make sure that you guys are feeling encouraged. I'm going to go ahead and get our guest, Rhiannah. I'm going to send her an invite so you guys can get an opportunity to engage and hear her amazing story. Of course, she went viral on the internet a couple of weeks ago when she passed the California bar the first time and did it as an amazing super single mom. And she wanted to make sure to share her story. So let's go ahead and get her on. And I'm going to send out a video request for her. And one of the things I tell you guys, let us know where you're viewing our session from. Of course, I'm holding it down in St. Louis, Missouri. It is not the place I want to be, but it is the current place that God has me. So let me know where it is where you're viewing our session from. Okay, I know that we have people in Mississippi. We have people in Montgomery, Alabama. One of the goals that I tell you guys is wherever you are with your journey, make sure you fill our chat box up with questions. So that way you get your questions answered. One of the things that's been going on is we have a free LSAT support group called the LSAT Accountability Group, and also the LSAT Ain't Got Nothing on Me. And in fact, you're in the midst of your LSAT studies. It's free 99. I encourage you guys to be able to join, because it can provide a wonderful opportunity for you guys to get the tips and resources that you need to be able to successfully navigate this lawyer journey. I know they be filling up my icon notifications list, about 70 notifications a day. They're doing a great job in there, and it's something that I want to strongly encourage for you guys to consider joining. So that way you guys could be able to get the tea that you need to manifest these lawyer dreams. So let's go ahead and get our guest on. Let me see if I can get her Instagram 1 second. All right, here we go. And there we go. Let's get it. VSG with come on, Instagram. VSG with Rhi. All right, so we'll wait for her to be able to join us for the live. But nevertheless, one of the things I want to make sure I do as we wait for Rhiannah to be able to join us is I want to be able to make sure that you guys are aware of some of the resources that could be able to help you in regards to securing admissions. I know right now a lot of people are either one getting rejections. I want you guys to be able to understand what that means it does not mean that you cannot go to law school. In fact, what it actually means is that you may need to be able to expand your list. One of the observations I've been able to make during my time of becoming a law school admissions strategist is that oftentimes the further out that you apply, what I mean in regards to locations, the better opportunities that may be available for you. And so I really want you guys to, okay, she says she's in the live. So let's see here. It's not, Instagram is tripping. Okay, you gonna love her. Okay. Gone. There we go. Life, but we gonna make it. So if in fact you got rejected from law school, what that means is you probably need to be able to extend where you're applying. So if you live in New York, chances are if you're not getting it being competitive in that particular state, that means you need to consider going and looking maybe down south or maybe looking down in the Midwest where there's going to be fewer people who may fit your same demographics location wise. And that may give you the best opportunity to be able to get into law school. I want you guys to understand is that oftentimes the most competitive place for you to be able to get into law school is going to be in the place where you live. Oftentimes, what's going on, twin? Oftentimes, so when you're doing this process, you have to be also operating with the mindset of what does my applicant pool look like? Who am I competing with? And one of the things that I found out is that if in fact if you're applying to a school where very few people from your state are actually applying, then that's something that could be big beneficial for you. Let's try to get her on again. You go. Let's see here. You go, lover. And so we're trying to get our guests on, but Instagram, of course, has been Instagramming, but we still gonna navigate this space and we still gonna make it happen because against all odds, we never quit, we never fail, we never flinch. We always make a way to make it happen. So that was one bit of advice that I want you to also be able to make sure. One of the things I also really want you to go ahead and do in this process, you guys, is I want you to understand the value of these conditional admissions programs. I know at times it may not be your first choice when it comes to law schools. But at the end of the day, we want to understand that maybe our pathway to getting to our first choice of law school could be going to another place first. There's 26 law schools that offer conditional admissions programs. And so if in fact your LSAT score is going to be, let's say, below 145, you want to make sure that you're also going into a space where you're applying to these conditional admissions programs. Why is it not allowing her to join? And so make sure that you're adding those schools to your list to make sure that you're giving yourselves the best opportunity to get into school. Oftentimes on my Instagram account, what I do is I provide lists of schools for you guys to be able to consider. I made a post where it was literally every conditional admission program that is available. So I want you guys to lean into that process. Understand that oftentimes we have to be able to expand our list. Understand this. I know that you may want to stay in the metro area. I know you may want to stay in the chocolate city, but there's also, you are very coveted at law schools outside in other states outside of our chocolate cities. And so I really want to challenge you guys to be open and to be able to consider other law schools outside of the ones that may be on your initial list. And so I really want you to do that. And so if you go into my Instagram post, I think I have the list. But what's going on, sis? It's about time we got Instagram was Instagramming, and thank you, sis, for making a way, sis. For real, for real.
Yes. Technology is always interesting.
But one of the things I tell people, persistence and continuing to work at something always does win in the end. And
Always.
so, of course, I want to first give you the floor to formally introduce yourself. I'm really excited about this. Me and you talked, of course, way back in forever ago, and I'm really love an opportunity to get a chance to engage with you and talk with you.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. Hey, y'all. If you don't know, my name is Rhiannah Gordon. I am officially an attorney as of November 27th, 2024. I've been an attorney for a couple of weeks now. I just graduated in May from UC Davis School of Law out here in California. I took the July bar, the California bar, and got my results in November, and then got sworn in at the end of November. So I'm new to the profession and super excited to be here.
It's amazing, sis. I think the thing that's so amazing when I saw your story and I saw so many comments, people felt the sacrifice, felt the work ethic, felt everything that went into that moment. And I think oftentimes there's so many people out there, sis, who are thinking because they're going through challenges that means that, you know what, man, maybe God's trying to send me a message and I'm not supposed to do this. But when you guys share your stories, it's like, oh, okay, maybe this is supposed to be hard. So one of the first questions I ask people when we go through this process is going to give a lot of brown sugar vibes, but I just want you to roll with it, right?
Okay.
When did you fall in love with law? And the reason I asked that is because keep it a buck, sis, if you don't love this stuff, you're going to throw up the white flag with the quickness and do something else.
You know what? I'm gonna in a very attorney way look back a little bit and say that it might be that you don't love it, and that's why you do it. And so
Yeah, that's true.
I will say that what drew me really to the law was very, very young. Well, as when I could deeply comprehend. So when I was about 16, I had a friend who caught a case. And that whole process, watching him go through the process, and I remember sitting in the courtroom listening to the prosecutor describe my friend, and that's not my friend you're describing. Like, she very much vilified him and said all of these really nasty things, and I just remember thinking, like, that's not my friend you're talking about. And that was my first inclination. And then the sentence that he got was really, really extreme. And he was 17 when he caught his case. The sentence was he got life without. And so I just remember going home one day and thinking, like, even if he done the worst thing in the world, 17, it just didn't sit right with me that he would never be free again. Like, never? Like, you're going to tell me that someone at 17 never deserves freedom again? And so that was my very first interaction where I was like, oh, I like this. And then over all the years, it really was, as I started doing deep dives into society, I started really questioning society and questioning why things were the way they were and things like that. And I think it's that inquisitive nature that really drew me to the law and keeps drawing me in.
And for you guys who just joined us, we are with freshly brand new attorney Rhiannah Gordon. What's up? What's up? Who's joining us to share her story and also to let us know, like, because I tell people oftentimes when we see people's success, what we want to be able to do is get the blueprint, because there's somebody else watching this right now. There's a single mom, a single father out there who's thinking, well, I got to wait for these kiddies to be able to go. Maybe they got to wait for them to go to college before I can be able to make this happen. But you guys' story make things real. And I think the thing that's amazing about everybody's story or how they enter to the law is you ultimately are left with a choice. All right. Am I going to be a silent observer, or am I going to do something about it? Because we can complain to the hills. We know when we go to the barbecue, we hear auntie and uncle and them talking about when they talking about the law.
Yeah.
And we like, do we want to be one of them? Or do
Yeah.
we want to be one of the persons who make a difference and make a change? And so we found out how that particular thing happened. And so also with you, sis, because we got people at different parts of this whole lawyer journey.
Yeah.
Because you, sis, you changed careers.
I did.
So for people out, so what was that like? Because that was a bold leap. There's a lot of people out there like, well, dang, okay, so I got to take a pay cut, or I got to go pick up the backpack again.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you, sis?
It was interesting. So I worked in California state government. I was working on transportation equity issues, also very important issues, also really critical work. And there was a series of events, right? Like you never make a decision based on one event.
Right.
Like there's a series of things that happen. And so I had lost my mom in my 20s. She passed away from a really nasty cancer. But before she died, she had found this really beautiful passion for dance. And she had spent 35 years in a successful career and really blossomed in her 50s. Died. And so I was like, you can't wait until your 50s to do the things that you're really passionate about. If you want to be passionate about something, or you know that you are passionate about something, do it now. I don't care if you 20, 30, 40, 50, like whatever it is, do it now. So that was one major event. And once I got done grieving and processing, then I was able to think through like what it actually meant. The other thing was like COVID hit, right? And it changed the world. And we all had this moment. Well, if you were fortunate enough, I had the privilege to be at home, working from home, and have more time to reflect. And in that time, I was like, man, is transportation equity what I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, really where I want to be? And the answer was no. I had to be honest with myself, and like the answer was no. Now that was also paired with the fact that I had built an office, a transportation equity office, and then they placed someone above me in a classification that I didn't qualify for. And it was a major slight. It was like, oh, y'all gonna do that? Bet.
Rocking.
And I was like, I'm gonna go get a degree where nobody will ever tell me no again. And the answer is getting a JD. Because you don't have to practice law. You can do anything with a JD. And so I was like, if I'm gonna go back to school, I was deciding between a master's in public health and a Juris Doctor. And the MPH was a 2-year program, the JD was a 3, and the JD just opens up so many more doors that I was like, well, time to go back to school. And the other thing was that if you look, like, if I show y'all my bookshelf, there's so many books about law, policy, people's interactions with different types of law. I have books on immigration. I have books on the justice system. I have so many books that all intersect with the law. And I was like, I think when I listen to podcasts on my walks, it's about law. It's about crime. So I'm like, there were just all these little things where I was like, all the signs point to the fact that I need to go on ahead and go to law school.
The funny thing is just like on this journey, oftentimes we got to give ourselves permission. The only thing holding us back a lot of times is us.
Yes.
The law is all around us. And oftentimes I tell people, it's just like, sometimes we have to be able to step out of our comfort zone and realize that it's either do we want to be comfortable or do we want to operate in our purpose? Because we could be comfortable and paid and secure, or we could be fulfilled and paid. We don't have to choose.
Law school, like I said, I was in a successful career. My bills were paid. I was comfortable. I could buy whatever I wanted. And people ask me, like, why would you do this? Like, you're living good. Like, why would you do this? And I'm like, is good enough? Like, is that
Oh,
for you? It wasn't. I don't want to be complacent in life ever, in any aspect. Like, you get used to lifting 20-pound weights at the gym, and a year from now, are you still lifting 20-pound weights? Why? Why are we okay just being complacent? I don't like that. That's just not my comfort zone. And so when you do get comfortable, I feel like that is the time to assess, where is it that you can be better? Where is it that you can grow? And it doesn't have to be educational. It can be other, personal, whatever. But yeah, complacency is not a place where I wanted to thrive.
I mean, sis, we know it's Wednesday night Bible study and all, but you over here preaching. Bernie Lynn said, preach, sister. But Nikita over here throwing up fires. But I mean, I think the thing that's amazing about it is it's just like, in this journey, oftentimes it's constant pursuit of growth. Constant pursuit of saying, okay, what am I going to do to make myself better? And so one of the questions I tell people on this journey, really what this is about, is you accepting, you know what, I want more. Two, you know what, wanting more is going to be hard as hell. So I'm going to fail a couple of times. I'm going to have a lot of moments where I'm going to have to humble myself and ask for help in order to take that next step. And oftentimes for so many of us, especially for us non-traditionals, all we've known is success. For so many people on here right
Yes.
now, the first time they've experienced challenges or failure is when the LSAT happens or when law school happens, when you get that midterm, you like, oh, snap.
I tell everyone, law school was the first time that I had ever worked so hard to be called mediocre.
Right,
And
right.
the reality is, I'm not mediocre. I'm excellent, but everyone in the room is excellent. And so it's a different caliber. But I know that we do have people all over the journey. I will tell y'all, I did terrible on the LSAT. I did awful. I did awful on the LSAT. So do not think that because you didn't get a 170 or 168 or whatever, that you can't get into law school.
Hold up. Can you say that one more time just for the people in the chat so they could be able to check that out real quick? We're talking to a licensed attorney here. Can you say that one more time, sis?
Licensed attorney, and I did terrible on the LSAT. The LSAT is not indicative of how good of an attorney you are or how well you will do in law school. You have to work your butt off in law school, but it is way different than the LSAT. And so do not let the LSAT detour you from going to law school or even applying. When I applied, I said, ain't no way they let me in. Acceptance letters, multiple, into great schools. Not like, I'm not bashing any school, but like, I had a great school and I had a terrible LSAT.
And so I hope you guys are able to catch them that. There's 197 law schools out there, y'all. And Rhiannah, how many do you need to go on?
One.
All you need is one. Now that one may not be in your comfort zone. It may not be your top choice, but last time I checked, you can still transfer. And last time I checked, every law school that is ABA affiliated, guess what? You can still sit for the bar. And if they go to a Cali bar law school, you can sit for the bar in Cali too. And so it becomes important for us to be able to expand and step outside of our comfort zone. There's so many opportunities outside of there. So one question I also love to ask, and again, let me reintroduce you for people who just came on. We are with freshly new attorney Rhiannah Gordon, who's dropping gems, who's also inspiring us and taking us to church. For real, y'all. Y'all better, we getting some more words out here, y'all. So sis, what was the biggest challenge? Because we got people at different spectrums. So let's talk first law school. What was your like, oh my God, I gotta grow. I gotta make some changes. What was that first moment like, and how did you adjust to it? Because I think for a lot of people, they haven't either had that moment yet, so that's why they're afraid to apply, because they heard about it, or either two, they're in the midst of that moment now, and they're like, what do I do?
Listen, if it's one thing law school will do, it's humble you. It is humble for sure. I for me, it was like I said, or like you said, you're to being at a certain caliber. You're to, for me, if I slacked off in school, I would get B's. That was slacking off.
Yeah.
And if I put in the effort, I would get A's. A's would follow. Law school is different. I remember the very first lineup you take includes civil procedure. Now, this class is so important. It is literally, you don't have the law without civil procedure because it is how cases are filed. And they don't just tell you this, right? They just
nope.
days a week. You're like, that's a really long class. Must be important. And then they assign these cases. And I remember one of the first cases reading it, and it took me like 2 hours to read, like 1.5 pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reading it and kept reading it and kept going, I don't know what this says. And I kept reading it, and I never understood it. Till to this day, I don't know what that case was talking about. But I think what happened was I had to learn how to read case law.
Yeah.
And that is something that you would never, ever need to know. You would never learn it unless you're going into some kind of policy work or you're going into law school, things like that. So I will say that, like, the learning curve was steep in just purely how to read cases and information and how to digest it, how to parse it out, what people want, professors want out of you. I also remember having a mini heart attack when I found out that your entire grade is based on one exam. I almost fell out. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pack it up and I'm gonna just head out.
We're going back to the house, get the job.
I go up for 3.5 months and you're gonna grade me on one 3-hour session? It doesn't compute. But those are things that you learn. And so I think that moment where I was really, really, really humbled was when I got my first grades. And like I said, I had read every case. My first year of law school, I did it wrong. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I did it wrong. I read every single case. Every page that was assigned, I read it. And I worked so hard. I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, because of my schedule, I have kids and things. So I stayed up reading, digesting, briefing cases, all of that. And then when I got my first grades, they were B pluses. And I was like, huh? What? And that was when I realized, and in hindsight, I wasn't doing what was necessary to get A's. I was doing a lot of work, but it was not the work that was necessary to get A's. And so there's a difference in law school, and that curve is different. And you have to learn, you have to think smarter, not harder in law school. And you don't know what you don't know. And I was a, first attorney in my family.
Wow.
So, like, I don't know. I don't have anyone to give me advice. I didn't have anyone to tell me, like, make sure you go to office hours.
Yeah.
Make sure.
That's true.
Because the hypotheticals are going to be the difference between the B plus and the A minus. Who knew?
And that's the thing about it is I tell people, like, the amazing thing about loss, fear is an amazing motivator.
That's why I did all that research. I was of being called on and not knowing the answer. You were not going to catch me slipping. Those professors, you were never going to call on me and me not have something to say. Never. It was never going to happen.
And the second thing, so fear is an amazing motivator. And 2 is, man, if you get into your emotions, it's going to look, it's not about what you like in law school. Almost like when you said Civ Pro, sis, I was like, man, I hated that class. That class was so boring. But like you said, it's the most important class. That class is going to determine where you're going to be clerking at or where you're going to work at if you get a job in the summertime. Your emotions oftentimes, I feel like the first case we get at with the LSAT, you're like, man, I hate this stuff. So you don't like the reading comp? Well, reading comp, yeah, it's still there. So you don't like it? You still got to learn it.
Still have to learn it.
Now I tell people, Choke, think about it, sis. law school, and maybe even the LSAT too, and even the bar, it's the first time that you have to read something that you may not like. We are literally surrounded all the times by things that we want to engage with and our entertainment and things like that. But then when this law stuff happens, it's like, oh my God, I'm in con law. Did they really just say the N word? You know, all these type of crazy, all these type of crazy microaggressions that happens in law school. But also one of the things I want to definitely talk to you about, because I went to law school and I had 3 kids with me, and I want you to tell me about what was your plan going in? Because I think I had a plan, and then we just surviving at this mode. Hey, come on, y'all coming to class too. Put the headphones in, hit a tablet. So what was your plan?
So my when I was deciding how to do law school, there were a couple of different options. In my area, there are full-time programs accredited by the ABA, including Davis, where I ended up. There are part-time accredited programs. There are part-time non-accredited programs. The part-time programs were 4 years, and you went at night. So when I started, my kids were in uh, 3rd grade and kindergarten.
Wow.
3rd grade and kindergarten. And so I specifically decided to go to a full-time 3-year program that offered, my first year, the classes were in the daytime. I wanted to go to school in the day while my kids were at school so that I could be present at night. I didn't want to be at work all day and then at law school all night. Never see my kids. In fact, that wasn't an option for me because I'm a single mom. Sandy, I see you. I am single. So no, I did not have someone else supplementing my income or someone else to take care of the kids. So I decided to do a full-time program because I wanted to be done in 3 years and I wanted to be able to go to school during the day while my kids were in school. That was the plan. My first year, the teachers went on strike and the
No.
for over a week, and that's when I had to bring my kids to school with me, and they rocked. I emailed my professors like, hey, I have no choice. The daycares were closed in solidarity of the teachers, and so I literally had no choice. And thank goodness the teachers were very gracious. Some of them even brought toys. My kids are very well behaved. Our deal was always you read for the first 30 minutes of class, then you can either pay attention to the lecture or you can put your headphones in and listen to your iPad. And of course, they elected that. I think family law, they actually paid attention because, that was an interesting topic for them. But yeah, look, my son's right here saying, I paid attention in all the classes. So yeah, it was interesting. I was very thankful. I was hesitant to bring my kids to class. I was hesitant because I also I kind of keep to myself prior to this fame, if that's what you want to call it. I kept to myself, and I did not tell a lot of my kids I had kids. I didn't want people even knowing. Like I was like, but I'm actually thankful that I did because okay, Cole, I see you. I'm thankful that I did because I think it's so important for representation purposes, right? Like that's why I started my TikTok. It's like, no, I'm a single mom and I'm a law student. And so I needed people to see that is possible.
Wow.
And like I finished. I did fine. Like I took my kids to school with me and we were all fine. Everything was okay. The world didn't come crashing down. Nobody shamed me for being a mom. Nobody shamed me for having my kids on campus. People were taking them to the store and getting them. They loved it. They loved it. People were doting on them.
And so I hope to my super parents out there that you realize that oftentimes, a lot of times, the fear is in our head. And it's an amazing support system. And some law schools actually give out scholarships. I know that when I had my kids and I was in school, they literally provided me with money so my kids could go to daycare. I was able to get awarded grants and scholarships for that. And so oftentimes there's a voice in our head that we're constantly doing battle with throughout this journey. Even after you pass the bar, telling you, even though you prove the voice wrong time and time again, I want you guys out there to make sure that you ignore that voice. you can go to law school. And I think the thing that's amazing is how much it meant so much to your children, and I know it meant not to my kids, to be able to see you going for something that you wanted. My mom's in law school. My mom just passed. So now they're seeing you go for something. And that's almost to a degree, you don't have to wait. You're robbing them of an opportunity to be able to see you operating at your fullest. How was that experience for your kids being able to see you? And that motivated me. Because, sis, I keep it a buck with you. I don't know if you guys know. I went to law school first time, sis, had no kids, went to New Orleans, wild out. I went to law school part-time. It seemed I was a full-time student on in Bourbon the other part of the time. And got dismissed. And then I got a family, got married, got kids, and went to law school now with more responsibilities.
You locked in. Mm-hmm.
It's something special when you have somebody relying on you. And I want you guys out there to realize, take your kids with you. Whatever challenge you're going through, it's something that you can grow with.
I'm very, very open with my kids, and it was hard. I started law school in 2021, so we were still on the tail end of the pandemic. We were home together for over a year, all the time, home together, and it was great. But that was a big change because my energy completely shifted. It wasn't all about us and the family. It was about me and the law school journey. And that was very uncomfortable for my children. They were upset. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. But this is a decision mommy made for mommy. And the reality was I had to sit down and tell them I'm pursuing something for me, and it will also benefit you.
Yeah.
The more that I can educate myself and elevate my life, your life is up here now too. And so that was all good and whatever. And they're like, yeah, okay. Started to bring them to school. It made it real. It wasn't like an abstract thing that takes our mom away from us. It was, oh, this is where she goes. Oh, this is where she sits. Oh, this is what they're talking about in class. And it made it easier for them to digest. And then, like, sometimes, stuff would happen. Like, my daughter took her hair out one day in the middle of the week, and I had homework. So I'm braiding her hair, and she's reading me my textbook. Like, I can't read a law school textbook. I say, yes, you can. Read the words. Reading me my textbook, and all of that demystifies the law, right? No, now it's obtained. They've seen it. They've heard it. They will never question whether they can understand a law school lecture. We're sitting there at age 10, listening to the professor and having an opinion on what was being stated. And so it was really, and anytime I felt, and there were lots of times where I felt overwhelmed, discouraged, not enough, stressed out, sad. So many tears cried over the last 3 years from all three of us. So many tears.
Yeah.
Sad tears, not happy tears. Like, but anytime I thought about quitting, I thought about, like, oh, your kid's gonna say, like, yeah, my mom went to 1 year of law school. What? Like, no. Like, that's not an option. It was no longer an option. And so, yeah, I wanted my kids to be able to have that flex, right? That's a flex. My mom is an attorney. Don't talk to me like that. My mom is an attorney.
What? Squabble up.
Gladly flex that. Mama, listen, raise your hand if your mom is an attorney. And you better put it high, too.
My mama is. My mama gonna sue you.
I'm not.
And I think the thing that's amazing also is you're normalizing excellence. And creating a new normal, and you're breaking barriers. You're also, to a degree, think about it, for so many of us, like, we see people have dreams but not go for them. They're witnessing you go for your dreams. And I just want you to be able to put us in your shoes/heels. How did it feel when you held up your hand to get sworn in? Because I know, how did that moment feel? I mean, it's a full circle moment, sis.
You know what's so beautiful is I chose a Black justice on the Court of Appeal to swear me in. She was actually the same at the time. She was a judge. She was a Sac County judge. She delivered my first oath when I started law school. And then she is the one who then swore me in to be an attorney. And I don't even think it has sunk in all the way.
Friends.
The day, and I was like, who is this man talking to? Because why does he think I'm about to go to court? Like, I said, oh, you are, though. Like, you can cross the barrier in the courtroom. If you don't know, courtrooms all have a line. And there's a line where if you're not an attorney, you can't cross that line. I said, oh, I can cross the line now. But no, so that moment was really incredible. And you know what is so great? The justice actually had everyone, all my friends and family that were available came. And the justice went around and had all of them pick a word to describe me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was such a beautiful moment because they all say all these really beautiful, positive things. And she looked at me and she said, I want you to soak that in because you deserve it. And because you're going to need that for later when it doesn't feel good. Because the practice of law is not always going to feel good. You're going to have late nights. You're going to have, cases that bother you. You're going to have all of these things. And so she was like, you need to hold on to this and feel this because you are going to need that later. And I was like, you know what? Yes.
Priceless. And to you guys out there, I want you guys to understand the value of the community of lawyers and judges. I think almost as a consequence of there being so few of us, that it becomes its own community. Lawyers, judges of all shapes, sizes, and hues, they're not going to bite you. They're not going to curse you out. They're not going to go off on you. Because every lawyer, every judge, Maisha, they've been where you are. And if they haven't been where you are, then they are one of very, very, very few. Okay? But I want you guys to understand that at times it may feel like you're alone on this journey, but understand there's a community of people. That judge came out of her way to feed it to you. And I want you guys to understand that there's so many. I know I'm here to do it. I know we got a new auntie right here to do it. Here to pray for you, preach for you, root for you, to help you on this journey. I know that we use Instagram for so many other platforms, but also utilize it as a way for you to be able to get inspired, get resources, and learn how to navigate this space.
Absolutely.
Everybody out there, I really believe it. I don't like everybody. If you want to be a lawyer, you can, period. The question is, are you willing to do the work?
That's it.
Willing to be humble. You gonna cry. Heck, I'm man enough to say I've cried all the time.
So many tears.
But if you're willing to learn, and if you're willing to listen, there's so many opportunities that come available to you. And so one of the things I like to do on every interview that I do is right now, of course, on this journey, there are a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of ups. Well, hold on. There's very few ups, but there's a whole hell of a lot of downs. But there's people right now battling with some of those downs. People who may have been rejected. I think I had a student got a couple rejections today. Students who either one got their LSAT scores back and didn't go well. Maybe they bombed the JD next. And I always give my guests an opportunity to give an inspiring word because sometimes we need it. The judge fed into you, and I love it when we're able to feed into people out there who need it as well. So I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to shut my mouth and let you preach, sister.
Well, for one, I want to echo that, part of why I went to law school is that I didn't see myself reflected in the law. And that to me is unacceptable. And so I was like, well, as cliche as it is, it's like, be the change that you want to see. And so, even though I didn't see it, I believed it was possible. And other people didn't see it, and I believed it was possible. So you have to know yourself first. You have to know yourself first. You have to trust yourself. You have to be willing to work hard. You also have to understand, if you're not, I didn't go to law school in my 20s because I knew I didn't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And so, but I say all of that to say, even though I didn't see myself reflected, my door is wide open. When I say reach out to me, DM me. I will give you my phone number. Call me. What do you need help with? Because I might be the first that I know that's like me. I absolutely will not be the last. And that's a promise. And so, whatever we can do to get more people that are necessary into the field, we will do that. So, you definitely have an ally in me. That's just the first thing that I will say. The other thing is that, listen, the time is going to pass either way. To be stressed either way. So choose your stress. Choose your stress. Are you stressed, but yet you're elevating your life to a point where, like, literally only 3% of people in America are doing it? Like, 3% of attorneys are Black, right? So are you directing your stress into something where you can maybe make a difference in the future, or are you stressing on something that isn't even going to matter tomorrow? You know, like, people will sit here and stress about how they're going to get the new Jordans. Okay, well, congratulations. Now in 6 months, when you just scuff them up and crease them, and now you're not even wearing them anymore. Okay, so if you can wake up at 5 a.m. for the Jordan launch, you can wake up at 5 a.m. to do a reading. You can wake up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym. You can do so. My thing is like, you're gonna be stressed either way. Stress up. Stress up.
I love that. I'm gonna type that. Stress up. I like that.
Up.
I love that.
You're gonna be busy either way. Life is busy. If you don't choose your time, like, time is full of whatever. So just choose what it's gonna be full of. I did not turn my TV on for 3 years. For 3 years. Because there was no time. I was not choosing idle time. I either was at school, working, at the gym, or running my kids around, or doing homework. And so there was no time for TV. But some people are not ready for that. Some people, you have to be honest about that. So, you know, when things are, and when things get tough, you rely on discipline. Like, I was not always motivated, but I was always disciplined, because that is what's going to get you through. And yeah, some nights I had to close my books and cry myself to sleep. You know what I did the next day? I got up and went right back to class. And so it is like you said earlier, you have to be humble in asking for help. I was real stubborn before law school. If you ask my friends before law school, I didn't ask for help on anything. I'm not asking for help because I don't like when people tell me no. So I could just avoid that altogether by never asking in the first place. And you know what law school did? Girl, you have a class that ends at 7 p.m. and you quite literally cannot pick up your kids. So what do you have to do? You have to ask for help. And so rely on the people that love you. People, I don't care who you are, somebody loves you. Everybody has somebody that loves them. Lean on the people that love you. My best friend Marissa, you know, when I got them B pluses, you know who I called? Crying. I called Marissa and I said, I can't believe I worked so hard to have B pluses. And she said, that sounds like a good report card.
Yeah.
My other really important word of advice: keep law school in perspective. It is a 3 or 4 year commitment, and then life goes on. So these people who obsess over, like, minute things in law school, it's really hard. Especially what I would notice was the young people who are K through JDs, or people who have never kind of really had life experience outside of law school. They get swept up in, like, being the top of the class, or being this or being that, being the person who asks the most questions, like, just like doing every extracurricular, listen, let me tell you, you can absolutely rock law school and you can still be a bum. So, like, you
keep it 100, sis.
Perspective. Law school ends. You can be the professor's favorite. Guess what? When you go to your employer and you getting on all your coworkers' nerves, don't nobody want to deal with you. And so like, it's temporary. But that also means that the lows are temporary too.
Ooh, that's powerful.
So when things are not going your way, when you're not getting the grade you wanted, the sun is still gonna rise tomorrow. And I think it's just really important. Law school will take everything from you if you allow it. Set boundaries. Set hard, clear boundaries. And as a first year law student, that's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I read every single case. It was unnecessary. If I could go back, I would do it differently. But I learned after the first year, I burnt myself out. And I learned, I'm drawing a line. And you will not take everything from me. You can, and because law school is systemically not built for us. Right. So, like you said, dropping the N-word, that's not fun. That's not a fun experience. Mm-hmm. But you still got to go back the next day. You got to sit through that class. Somebody, boy, if you make it into law school and you sit in class, you're a fellow student will sit there and hypothetically, what if? And will say the most outlandish stuff. Mm-hmm. And you in there like, ain't no way they just said that. And you got to go back and sit next to them again the next day. Mm-hmm. And so just set really healthy boundaries, decide what's important, and focus on that. And eventually it ends. And then when you get to the end, you're like, oh, that went by kind of fast.
It's hilarious how that happens. And I think it happens like that because really, yeah, you're learning the law and all that. But really what you're doing is you're learning yourself. You're learning how you prepare. You're learning how you have to study. You're learning what you need to do to be successful. And you said something that was so profound in the beginning. You said you had to learn how to read. And I think it goes deeper than that. I feel like when we go to law school, real talk, we're learning how to study.
Yes.
And the example I tell people is think about it, like our cell phones, like of course Instagram went down today. I don't know, it's still having Instagram issues right now, right? But our phones update all the time. We only update when we have things happen. Mm-hmm. So just like Instagram went down, and now they're making changes. Oftentimes we don't make changes in our preparation, in our studying, in our processing, in our setting boundaries until we fail.
Yeah. And I didn't know, like I said, I was used to being excellent. In undergrad, ask me if I ever studied for a test.
Yep. Yep.
I never studied. And I'm not proud of that. That's just reality. I was used to being able to, take my notes in class, do my little assignments, and getting good grades. Oh, no, that's not how it works in law school. So learning how to study was completely new for me.
And for you guys out there, understand it's okay. But the thing about it is, okay, you have people here to help you. So it's not enough. I tell people oftentimes, you can't just scroll and like. You got to go engage and find out how to go about doing it.
Yeah. And I think don't put the burden, like while people are here for you, Google is free.
Right?
Like the resources are out there, and there are more and more people that look like us, that talk like us, that move like us, that are willing to help. And like that's really important. I was really uncomfortable. Like I didn't want to go to professor's office hours.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. You know what's really important? Going to professor's office hours. Like
I don't know why. Like for some reason, we thought it was like a slight on our intelligence.
Yeah.
And did you go to the study? Did you go to the study group? No, I'm good. I got it by myself. Why? You being stupid. You pay too much dang money, or you sacrifice way too much to allow your ego. And I think, as we bring it to a close, I just want you guys to realize that you're not alone. And we've been blessed to have amazing judges, attorneys, lawyers, new attorneys right here to share their stories. They're reaching out to you guys to be able to let you kind of know you can do this. You can do this. You can do this as a non-traditional student. You can do this with kids. You can do this no matter what your LSAT score is. But the thing at the end, Sis said it 100, but you got to be willing to want to put in the work. These dreams don't happen without sacrifice. You're going to have to give up something in order to, what she said, I love you said, stress up.
Stress up.
And so, sis, again, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. We're so grateful. You guys continue to fight for your lawyer dreams. We're praying for you, rooting for you. She told you to holler at her. You better not ask for a number because you got to set boundaries too. Right? But definitely shoot DM, and because we're all in this together. Where the way our world gets better is by us being able to motivate each other to continue to make presence and representation a priority. So again, thank you. I'll let you say one last thing before we head out, sis.
I will only just end with, I'm going into criminal prosecution. So if you have specific questions about that, I'm also here for that. And just trust yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself enough to want better and to do better.
I think she just dropped the gem right there. So sis, see you guys again next week for Making the Case. Again, thank you guys so much. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Making the Case. Continue to fight for your lawyer dreams. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.